All right, if you're watching this, welcome to the live stream. Breaking news this morning or this afternoon as Shohei Ohtani has announced that he is signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. A 7-year, $700 million contract. Will be $70 million a year. He will not be pitching next year. He will just be hitting. He announced on his Instagram today. I'm going to pull that up here in a second. So the whole, Mariners team store being closed today had nothing to do with it. The whole private jet heading to Toronto yesterday had nothing to do with it. Everyone was on Ohtani watch all week. And now that Ohtani has signed with the Dodgers, the rest of the free agents and the offseason market should start to pick up with various free agents signing Bellinger, various other pitchers, Blake Snell, Yamamoto, and then the trade market should pick up as well. Let me pull this up here. So here's Ohtani's post. He said, "To all the fans and everyone involved in the baseball world, I apologize for taking so long to come to a decision. I've decided to choose the Dodgers as my next team. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone involved with the Angels organization and the fans who have supported me over the past 6 years, as well as to everyone involved with each team that was part of this negotiation process. Especially to the Angels fans who supported me through all the ups and downs. Your guys' support and cheer meant the world to me. The 6 years I spent with the Angels will remain etched in my heart forever. And to all the Dodgers fans, I pledge to always do what's best for the team and always continue to give it my all and my best version of myself. Until the last day of my playing career, I want to continue to strive forward, not only for the Dodgers, but for the baseball world. There are some things that cannot be conveyed in writing, so I'd like to talk more about this again at a later press conference. Thank you very much." And then looking a little bit at Twitter. So as I mentioned, Shohei Ohtani's deal is 10 years. Oh, sorry, it's 10 years. It's not 7 years. 10 years, $700 million. And I'm going to keep you posted as I see the updates on what the contract actually looks like. So as Passon says, Shohei Ohtani's contract has significant deferrals that include most of his salary. An idea, a source said, that was Ohtani's. In deferring the money, it reduces the cost of the competitive balance tax hit and will allow the Dodgers to build a better team around him. The $700 million Shohei Ohtani will receive from the Los Angeles Dodgers is the largest guarantee in sports history. Now, looking at the Dodgers payroll before Shohei's contract hits the books, so far right now for 2024, they're estimated to be at 117 in total payroll. It shows actually projected total payroll 158. So depending on how the salaries look and how much is deferred, we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, huge news. I mean, this is the team that was expected to sign him really from the start. They have always gone out and added impact. They've spent a ton of money to go out and do what they need to do to win. And Shohei's number one thing was to get into competition right away or be competitive in the playoffs. And it does make the most sense. It keeps him on the West Coast, keeps him in the same city. He doesn't have to move anything, do anything. He could just drive to a different stadium every day. And then here's a statement from Nez Balelo, who is Shohei Ohtani's agent. He says, "This is a unique, historic contract for a unique, historic player. Shohei is thrilled to be a part of the Dodgers organization. He is excited to begin this partnership, and he structured his contract to reflect a true commitment from both sides to long-term success. Shohei and I want to thank all organizations that reached out to us for their interest and respect, especially the wonderful people we got to know even better as this process unfolded. We know fans, media, and the entire industry had a high degree of interest in this process, and we want to express our appreciation for their passion and their consideration as it played out." I saw an article yesterday that the Mariners pitcher Joe Kelly apparently was asked if he would switch his numbers with 17 with Shohei. So it turns out that rumor was true. But that was hilarious yesterday. John Morosi reported that there was a private jet heading from Los Angeles to Toronto, and that Shohei Ohtani's agent wouldn't comment on his travel plans. So basically, he was trying to. That's the thing with reporting. There's so much clickbait. People are trying to be the first to report something, be the first to be there and get all the clicks. But turns out that was one of the Shark Tank guys that was flying to Toronto from Los Angeles, not Shohei. So, and I'm curious what if it'll start to leak out now since it's all done, which teams actually did meet with Shohei, what the other offers might have been. The Mariners won for 65. I didn't believe for a second was true. Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah, it's 10 for 700. It's not 7 for 700. That would be insane. But yeah, 10 for 700, still the largest contract in history. How did the Dodgers afford him? Well, they just have endless pocketbooks, basically. I mean, they're a huge market team. Let me see if I could find revenues. But yeah, now that Shohei is signed with the Dodgers, that kind of that giant piece in this offseason is now out of the way. The rest of the market can continue to move forward. The other free agents starting to sign in Cody Bellinger, Blake Snell, Yamamoto, all these other guys. And then, the trade market starting to pick up again because all the teams that were in on Shohei Ohtani now can pivot and go fill out their roster how they need to, knowing that Shohei's not going to be there. I keep hearing that Ohtani's deal has unprecedented deferrals, the majority of his salary. So I'm curious to see exactly what it looks like and how much he's going to be making on a yearly basis that will actually hit, um, the salary cap for the Dodgers, and then how much of it is going to be deferred so that they can continue to add players around him. Yeah, this guy says Ohtani is going to play for the Raiders next. Well, let's let his arm heal first. Yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I mean, this is what was expected. This is the most, you know, cut and dry news. Ohtani going to the Blue Jays, which is what we were sawing yesterday, would have been insane. Ohtani going to the Cubs would have been really cool to see. Of course, going to the Mariners would have been amazing, but I'm just curious at what point the talks stopped, what other teams were actually offering Ohtani, and what those contracts were looking like. But I'll keep you posted as more information comes out here. It seems that there are no opt-outs in Shohei Ohtani's deal, which is surprising. So it's not, so Shohei is going to be there in Los Angeles for 10 years. So now the Mariners, or sorry, the Dodgers depth chart is looking like Bobby Miller as the Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler as the 1-2s for the Dodgers pitching staff. When Shohei Ohtani is back after next year, then he'll be right up there. Then they also have Ryan Pepio, Emmett Sheehan, and then Ryan Yarbrough. Bullpen is Evan Phillips, Brewster Gratterall, Blake Trinan. There's Joe Kelly in there, Michael Grove. And then as far as the lineup is concerned, let's take a look at the Dodgers last lineup for the year. Apparently, breaking news: Dipoto has signed with the Seahawks. Copy guy says Morosi is basically Heyman. He starts rumors for no reason. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and it's, like Bob Nightingale, hasn't been the best reputation for reporting news. There's been a lot of fake tweets, you could say. But yeah, it's tough because everyone's trying to be the first to report something, be the first to get clicks. So yeah, it was funny yesterday. Tracking the private jet that was flying from LA to Toronto was the guy from Shark Tank. It wasn't Ohtani. So you think the Mariners are going to make a move soon on some bats? I mean, that's the hope, clearly. I mean, one free agent would be Lourdes Gurriel Jr. that I think would make a lot of sense. He's a right-handed hitting outfielder, fills up one of those positions in the outfield. I think I was looking yesterday. He costs like $16.4 million. If they were to go that route, then they would, or 14.6 million, I believe. It could be 16.4, one of those two. But they would have about $4 or $5 million left over for the last guy that they want to sign, based on the comments that the Mariners have $20 million right now to spend on free agents or to spend on players for next year's payroll, which would be ridiculous if that's true. Let me see if I could find a Dodgers lineup. What are the odds Urias is our starting third baseman opening day? I would like to say the odds are pretty low, but the way things are shaping out right now, they're pretty high. And especially the comments, I think some insider information was that the Mariners view Urias as their starting third baseman, which is not great. I mean, with that trade, before Gino was traded, we got Urias, and he was viewed as just being a platoon with Josh Rojas at second base. He's a utility guy. Urias has been dealing with various injuries. Yeah, and they need to go out and add impact. They can't be having Urias starting at third base. Are the Mariners even going to acquire a bat that is better than Kelnick? Well, if you look at Kelnick's stats so far in his career, it's not too hard to acquire a bat that's better than Kelnick. Now, if he plays up to his potential, then he has a high ceiling, but he also has the floor that we've seen, which is like a 150 hitter. It's striking out all the time. And if you look at the retooling that the Mariners have gone through, they've gotten rid of Gino, Teo, Kelnick, who were the top three on the Mariners in strikeout percentage. If you look at it, the players that were playing the most. So they're completely gone away from strikeouts. They've said, Dipoto has said that they want to add consistency, some contact throughout their lineup. Let me pull up Lourdes Gurriel. So here's Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He had a 261 batting average last year. He was an all-star last year. Every year of his career, he's had at least an OPS above 106. So at least a little above league average. Up to in 2020, he had a 138 OPS plus. But most recently, last year, he had it at 108 OPS plus. Before that was 114, then 109. But his average over his 6 years, his 162 game average is a 279 batting average, 324 on base, 466 slug, 791 OPS. He averages about 24 home runs, 89 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, so not really stealing bags. He does not have the best. Let me pull up on his baseball savant page. So this is Lourdes Gurriel Jr. We're looking at one of the free agents that I think would make a lot of sense. So, as you look, he plays solid defense. He's in the 69th, or his fielding run value is 69. Batting average, expecting hard hit percentage is up there. Whiff percentage is good. Strikeout percentage is good. He doesn't walk much, but he has a good eye. He doesn't strike out a ton. And then fielding, he's got a good arm. He's got some range. Looking at his power, his home run spray chart, it is very pull heavy. But that's one of the guys that, it fits within the Mariners' budget for this year if they only have $20 million to work with. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment below your thoughts if you're just hearing about the Ohtani news. If you've watched my video from yesterday talking about the Mariners, basically window of contention, they have 2 to 3 years to contend for a World Series right now before they have to start dismantling the core that they have right now. With, Julio is going to be there for 15 years. They have JP Crawford for another 3 years. Cal Raleigh for 3 to 4, like 4 years, but he's going to start getting expensive with arbitration. Logan Gilbert's going to get expensive soon. George Kirby, hopefully he would agree to an extension. Yeah, really the core of the team that they have 2 to 3 years to compete. Are the Mariners going to get Isaac Paredes and Arozarena? I mean, that would cost a lot. I would be open to throwing the farm, to go acquire those guys. The thing about it is that they're both very controllable players, so that's why it would cost so much. Let me pull those guys up. So Randy Arozarena, he's due about $7 million this year in arbitration. He's under team control for 3 years. Then if we look at, he entered the league in 2019 with the Cardinals. Only played in a few games. Really, since 2021 was when he started playing every day. So far, so looking at just last year, 254 batting average, 364 on base percentage, an OPS plus of 120. Basically, throughout his career, he's been at least 20% above league average. Plus the fact that he's under control for 3 years, that's a lot of value right there. He was an all-star last year. He's one of those personalities. He's wearing the cowboy boots before the game. He seems like an awesome dude. 162 game average, 265 batting average, 24 home runs, 84 RBIs, almost 30 stolen bases on average, and an OPS plus of 126. And then you throw in Isaac Paredes. So Isaac Paredes is under contract he's under club control for 4 years. So you're getting 3 years of Randy Arozarena, 4 years of Isaac Paredes. And let me look at Paredes' numbers. Paredes a few years ago was traded from the Tigers to the Rays in exchange for Austin Meadows. Wrong, Isaac. So yeah, he started out with Detroit. He was traded to the Rays. At that point, he started playing basically every day. His first year, over 381 plate appearances, batted 205. But last year was his breakout. He hit 250, 31 home runs, 98 RBIs. He had an OPS plus of 131. And this would be your third baseman if you did trade for him. But again, 4 years of control for him, 3 years of control for Randy Arozarena. That's going to cost quite a bit. But there's still the possibility, if they were to trade something like Bryce Miller plus some prospects, that are also close to being in the major leagues, then you'd have a shot at that. But that would be costly in order to get both Randy and Paredes. I don't. I mean, they're not rebuilding again. They're retooling, and it's tough to have perspective right now when all you can see is what is happening right now or what has just happened. The whole Geno trade, the Kelnick trade. If you look at those trades on paper, I mean, both of them are L's, right? But you have to look at the end of the offseason to see if it actually makes sense on what they did as a whole. Of course, it's not fun to look at right now, but they're not rebuilding. I mean, they have a solid core of guys. They have a top 5 pitching rotation, pitching staff in all of baseball, and they will continue to have that as long as this core is together. Robbie Ray's coming back after the All-Star break next year. You got Luis Castillo up there, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu. Assuming they trade one of those younger guys for, in this Rays trade or another trade that they make for bats, sign Blake Snell, hopefully. But Blake Snell would cost at least $20 million a year. So those comments that were made about $20 million remaining for the Mariners to spend on players this year is just not realistic if they're going to truly go out and compete. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, 1-year deal for $65 million. That didn't make sense for a second. First off, why would Shohei Ohtani say yes to that? And now it comes out that Shohei is making $70 million a year for 10 years. So, I mean, that was another thing that people were just trying to get clicks on, basically. Ricky says Lourdes Gurriel's OPS looks the same as Kelnick's 2023 OPS with less untapped upside. Yeah, I mean, then you look at Gurriel's strikeout rate, is much better than Kelnick's. He was an all-star last year. I mean, they definitely have different ways of getting their OPS, just like JP Crawford and Julio Rodriguez tied for the team lead in OPS. JP Crawford, of course, did it in a different way than Julio. Julio got his OPS via slugging. JP Crawford got his by the on base percentage. JP Crawford led the American League in walks. So there's different ways of getting to the OPS, but Lourdes Gurriel Jr. looks like a more consistent long-term way of getting to that versus, Kelnick with the power, but the heavy strikeout rate. I'm a bit confused how they're going to get better when they don't have money to spend and are not in the market to want to trade Wu, Miller, Gilbert. Yeah, well, all of this stems on if they actually aren't going to spend any money, because you can't be trading Wu, Miller, and Gilbert or any one of those if you're not going to be spending money. You have to do one of those moves in order to also spend. Because if you lose one of those guys from your rotation, you're not relying on Emerson Hancock next year. You'd have to sign some free agent to come in. Blake Snell is begging for it. If you sign him to a 5-year deal, you got Luis Castillo, Robbie Ray, Blake Snell, that your top 3, along with Gilbert and Kirby. That would be insane. But yeah, I mean, none of those trading away one of those young starting pitchers makes any sense unless you're going to sign a free agent pitcher. You can't rely on Hancock. Robbie Ray's coming back after the All-Star break next year. You need someone this offseason. Yeah, I hope it doesn't get to this point. I mean, with Cal's comments, it would have been one of the Mariners ownership. It would have been on the same lines as how the ownership has been so far if they traded Cal Raleigh this offseason for his comments. But hopefully players don't start asking to be traded, because assuming we're going to be contending next year, and as tough it is as it is right now to see, and there are definitely holes that need to be filled. if Julio Rodriguez bats 300 that final week instead of batting like 150, the Mariners are in the playoffs. There's so many different ways that they could have made the playoffs last year. But let's go back to Ohtani. Let's see if there's any more updates. There's no opt-outs on Ohtani's deal. The thought was that he might be requesting a deal with opt-outs so that, if the team wasn't competing after a certain amount of time, then he can opt out and choose free agency again. Here's the initial graphic for Shohei. It's just annoying that, the big market team gets him. Of course, he's not pitching next year. He's just going to be a DH. And I'm curious how many years he has left in the tank of being a starting pitcher. This is his second Tommy John surgery. There are guys in the league that are successful that have had Tommy John surgery twice. But as a video I watched yesterday made the point that, he's already being, you could say, held back. So he's pitching once every 6 days instead of every 5 days. So the Dodgers are going to have to go with the 6-man rotation essentially, in order to keep Shohei on that schedule after next year. And his arm broke down while pitching every 6th day versus every 5th day. So, how many more years is he going to be a starting pitcher versus at some point along that line, would he start being a relief pitcher? Maybe his last 5 years of his contract, he's going to be a relief pitcher. We'll have to see, but Isabel says this may be cope, but seeing 10-700 makes me glad we didn't do that. Guy has already had 2 Tommy Johns, and who knows how long he pitches for if he ever does again. Is a DH worth that much? Well, so just looking at Shohei's bat, he's averaged a 148 OPS plus. Last year, of course, he had a 184 OPS plus. Last year he had a 304 batting average, 44 bombs, 95 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, an on base percentage of 412. He obviously won MVP. This is his second MVP that he won. And I had made a video on it before, but Shohei Ohtani is essentially like a Corbin Burns combined with a Mookie Betts. So try to value that. But yeah, I mean, if he's not pitching on the mound like he has been, then where does that value go once he does become a relief pitcher? We saw him face off against Mike Trout in the World Baseball Classic. That'd be amazing to see him as a closer. But if he can recover properly, and that's another question, is if he's hitting all next year, is he going to be able to have the time off to be able to recover and fully get that arm healthy again, to be able to get back to the level of a pitcher that he was so far in his career? But yeah, I mean, if the Mariners signed him to 10-700, they would probably trade Julio. They would they would not sign another free agent for the entire length of the contract. But we'll have to see. I'm gonna see if I can find what the contract actually looks like. There's no opt-outs in Shohei's contract. It's 10 years, $700 million. Apparently, unprecedented deferrals in the deal so that it allows the Dodgers to be able to spend additional money for free agents. Yeah, Dodgers favored to win the World Series, and we don't even know who's pitching. You got Walker Buehler coming back from Tommy John. You got Bobby Miller, but then beyond that, it's really a question mark for the Dodgers pitching rotation. So yeah, you guys are going to score a crap ton of runs, but you just have to be able to score more runs than you allow, I guess. Also, by the way, I was in Seattle for the Dodger series. the Dodgers have some big dudes. Like Jason Hayward is massive. Um, James Outman is massive. Brewster Gradle is like the biggest dude I've seen. His calves are insane. Anyway, but yeah, some of my Dodgers friends are like, "Oh my gosh, the beers are going to be $60 a piece at the games." Yeah, I'm curious to hear what the other offers were for Shohei. Like what other teams were offering. What other teams were meeting with him? Actually, we'll probably say hear Depoto come out and say, "Yeah, we met with him or we tried to meet with him. He declined the meeting, but we did send him a nice video." Yeah, Kylan says, "If we make a competitive offseason out of this, I won't be mad at all." And that's where it's you got to keep perspective as hard as that is. We've only seen what we've seen so far. We haven't seen the full picture. And I mean, like I mentioned earlier, this was the, cut and dry. This is where Otani's going. It's the easiest, you know, it's the easiest route. The Dodgers always go out and spend. They're on the West Coast. They're in the same city that Otani's already playing in. He can his medical staff is already in LA to be able to help him with his recovery. There's just so many reasons why LA was going to be the reason. Um, and like we've heard, Otani's number one goal is to compete, and the Dodgers are in there for the National West every year. They're in the playoffs, so it just makes sense. But Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. Let me take a look at their. So this is one of the Dodgers' last lineups. So you go like Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy. They got a lot of lefties in their lineup, but yeah, the question with the Dodgers is going to be their starting rotation. Let me see. The Dodgers rotation right now is basically Walker Buehler coming back from Tommy John surgery. He'll be ready for the start of the season. Then you got Bobby Miller, and then beyond that, kind of what are you looking at? Um, do they go and also spend for Blake Snell or Yamamoto, other guys? Let's take a look at their payroll again. As of right now, their projected payroll for 2024 is 158. El, Bo- El Boogie, who do you guys think what do you think the rotation is going to look like for you guys then? Are you guys going to get Snell and or Yamamoto? But yeah, I'm still waiting to see what Shohei Ohtani's deferrals look like. This doesn't really matter for the Dodgers, but the MLB luxury tax for 2024 is $237 million. So if you go above $237 million, then depending on if you were over the luxury tax in the first year, second year, or third year, you'd have to pay a certain amount of tax based on your total salary or payroll. Yeah, I mentioned that Bueller was going to be ready for opening day, and then you got Bobby Miller. But then beyond that, it's kind of you're relying on young guys. Is Kershaw going to come back? Is he going to be healthy to be able to put in the innings? Low roller scratcher. Did Otani sign 10 years contract for $700 million? Yeah, it was 10 years for 700. When I initially started the stream, I'd said 7 years, but it was definitely 10 years for 700. I'm still looking for the full contract details. Apparently, it's unprecedented deferral money, so that the Dodgers can still go out and spend to bring in additional guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Now it's a question of where will Yamamoto sign? Where will Blake Snell sign? Where will Cody Bellinger sign? All these other free agents. Now that the big guy has been taken out of the market and Shohei Ohtani, now the rest of the market can fall into place, and we'll see how the rest of these contracts look in the future. Now, Ohtani is a unicorn. You can't really base any contracts off of this contract that he just signed. He's not comparable to Babe Ruth in any way. I mean, the game how it is today and what Ohtani is doing, you just can't compare that. But the best player that we've seen in baseball just got the biggest contract in baseball history, the largest guaranteed contract in sports history, as what was really expected. There's also some other big names coming from Japan in the next few years. Roki Sasaki. I don't know if you guys know that name, but he was pitching in the World Baseball Classic. Did a video on him. Roki Sasaki's pumping like 102 with a insane splitter slider. He'll be. I mean, Yamamoto's coming over. He looks nasty. Roki Sasaki will be coming. There's various other guys from Japan that are really making names for themselves. And like the Dominican Republic is a huge spot for baseball. Big name guys coming out of there. It's the same thing with Japan. They've got some real talent over there. How do you feel if we don't make any moves and we field Caballero, Marlowe, and Canzone? Urias at third. I have a terrible feeling that's where we're heading. If that's what it looks like, if it's Cabby, Marlowe, yeah, that's not how it's happening. That would be an epic fail. I do believe in Canzone that he will perform long term. I mean, his minor league numbers, he's like hitting 350 consistently. So I feel like Canzone will play well. Marlowe showed some promise there, but you can't be relying on these guys to come up and carry your team to a playoff. Urias, with his injury history and his just history in general, he's an average, player. And then Cabby can't be in the starting lineup. No shot. Tanner says Ichiro's contracts with Mariners included a lot of deferrals as well. It's a very smart way to go if you want to win. Yeah, definitely. And I think it was last year that Ken Griffey Jr. was the highest paid Cincinnati Reds player still because of all the deferred money that he was getting from his contract. But yeah, by having the deferred money, then it doesn't hit the team's payroll for that year. So it allows them to be able to go higher, add more guys without having to hit that competitive balance uh, luxury tax threshold. Will Juan Soto be asking for 600 to 700 million next year? No, but I've heard that one will probably demand like a 450 contract, probably 10 years for 450. Yeah, apparently Roki Sasaki just asked to be posted, but it's unlikely his team will approve it. I need to look into the details. It's pretty complex with being posted in Japan. You have to be in the league for a certain amount of years over there, and then your team in Japan would actually get a percentage of your signing contract, I believe. I need to look into the details of that. But Roki Sasaki, in order for it to be, I think I wanted to say it was like 2027 is when he could come over without any strings attached. Yeah, Bobby Bonilla getting paid until 2035. Let's see if I can find the deferred money. Someone asking if I know if the M's were close with Ohtani. I haven't heard anything about the Mariners with Ohtani, but I would assume no. I mean, you don't know which of the reporting you can actually believe based on the false information that has come out. Ohtani's the private jet going from LA to Toronto yesterday. Like, oh my gosh, Ohtani's about to sign with the Blue Jays. And then hearing that the Mariners were out pretty quickly on Ohtani, you just don't know what's true and what's not, especially with Ohtani's camp not wanting any information to get out. Although Dave Roberts last week did say that the Dodgers met with Ohtani, which I thought might have been a deal killer, but I guess not. Yeah, and I see a tweet right now that says the Blue Jays fans must feel worse than the Mariners fans did when Ohtani announced he was signing with the Angels 6 years ago. And from memory, that felt very bad. Yeah, I mean, imagine if you're a Blue Jays fan. All of yesterday, you're going out buying champagne, getting ready to make a toast to Ohtani signing with the Blue Jays out of nowhere, just for it to be fake news, for the Shark Tank guy to be the one that was in Toronto, and then he signs with the Dodgers the next day. In his career at Dodger Stadium, Shohei Ohtani's career offensive numbers at Dodger Stadium: 15 games, a 350 setting batting average, 457 OPS on base, 679 slug, 10 for 25 with 5 extra base hits. Yeah, it's going to be a scary lineup for sure. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to try to find his contract for a little bit longer, but then I'll be hopping off here in a little bit. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think the Dodgers will do if you're a Dodgers fan? What do you think the Blue Jays will do if you're a Blue Jays fan tuning in, seeing this news? What do you think the Mariners will do the rest of this offseason? It hasn't been promising so far, but there's still a lot of time, and they could go prove some people wrong. We'll see if the trade market gets fired up. Here's a wild stat. Ohtani's 10-year, $700 million contract. He's making more annually on a average annual basis than eight current payrolls for the 2024 season. Ohtani's making more in a year than the Guardians, Marlins, Royals, Brewers, Reds, Pirates, Orioles, and Athletics are set to spend in 2024. This is before they sign additional free agents, but you get the picture. I mean, everyone knows that's a lot of money. And Shohei Ohtani's $700 million contract beat Mike Trout's record-setting contract of $426 million. And Alex Rodriguez's second record-setting contract was $275. So going from 426 to 700. Here's kind of how every Mariner fan feels, I guess. I'm a little upset. I mean, I never realistically thought that the Mariners were actually going to get Shohei, but so the upset scale, it's not too extreme, but just a little bit, just a little bit. I'm still trying to find the details of the actual contract. I'm sure that'll come out in a little bit, but there's no opt outs in Shohei Ohtani's contract. So from what it sounds like, there's no options. There's no opt out. So it's not like a player option to where he could choose to leave or to take the player option. It's 10 years, $700 million, a ton of deferred money, which I'm still trying to find, but we'll see how long they're going to be paying him for. Yeah, this is the largest contract in sports history, not just baseball history. Is Ohtani going to the Dodgers bad for the competitive balance of baseball? I mean, on paper, the Yankees, are going to have, the best rosters in baseball. Mookie Betts, Ohtani, Freddie Freeman. Let's see. They got Will Smith at catcher, Mookie Betts second base, Freddie Freeman first base. Third base right now is Max Muncy. Shortstop is Miguel Rojas. In the outfield, you got Chris Taylor, James Outman, Jason Hayward. There's I mentioned Chris Taylor. And then you add Shohei Ohtani to your DH. The Dodgers are obviously going to be stacked. They're going to score 1,000 runs. But like I mentioned, they have Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler's coming back. We'll see if Kershaw re-signs with them for another year. Then they have some guys that they've brought up in the past this year, the young arms, young starters that haven't performed all that well. But I mean, they still have a great farm system as well. But is it bad for the competitive balance of baseball? Well, yeah, it definitely tips the scales towards a team that was already in the playoffs a majority of the years to now you add Shohei Ohtani. But it's just what it is, I guess. And the teams like the Rays, like the Mariners, these other teams that don't go out and spend top dollar for contracts, you could still go out and win. You look at the Mets last year. They added Verlander, Scherzer, all these guys in the offseason. They had, I think they had the highest payroll until they traded the guys away, but they went out and fell flat on their face. So you still have to go out and perform. You could still have a top team with a lower payroll if you have the young guys on the rookie deals, controllable contracts that go out and perform. But yeah, Ohtani to the Dodgers is definitely shifting the balance to their factor, to their side. Yeah, I see someone on Twitter. The funniest takeaway from this whole thing is the fake 1-year offer from the Mariners was $65 million, and people were like, "No, that's way too much. I wouldn't pay Shohei 65 for a year." Now he's getting 70 for a year for 10 years. But just think about this for a second. The Angels had two of the best players in baseball history for 6 years, and they had 0 playoff wins. They had Ohtani and Trout for 6 years, and the Angels were not able to capitalize on that. Tanner, you said that this is not the largest annual value, though. Except, yes, it is. Here's the annual values. Here's the top 5 annual average values in baseball all time. Last year, Max Scherzer became the highest paid player on an annual basis, along with Justin Verlander, $43.33 million. Judge was at $40 million, DeGrom at 37, Shohei's at 70 a year on an average basis. Low Roller Scratcher says if Saudi Arabia have their own baseball league, Ohtani can easily get $1 billion contract or more, since golfer and soccer players getting big contracts. Yeah, there's the Live Golf Tour, which is getting stupid money. There's the Saudi Soccer League, which I'm gonna look up the salary for Ronaldo, but it's ridiculous. I know Messi was offered from them, but he decided to go to Miami. I want to say Ronaldo's getting paid like 200 a year, 250 a year. Ronaldo's getting paid $200 million a year with Al Nassr. He's guaranteed. So Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia is guaranteed $75 million a year. And it has the potential to reach a sum in the neighborhood of 200 million through commercial agreements with the club. But yeah, they have endless amounts of money. And I need to make a video still on Baseball United. I don't know if you guys have heard of Baseball United, but it's a Middle Eastern, South Asia baseball league that has been started. And I'm sure you've seen some of the information coming out, like Pablo Sandoval, Robinson Cano, some of the big names in that league right now. There's 4 teams over there. There's one in Dubai, I believe. There's 3 other main clubs. Yeah, so Eric asks, can you explain this concept of deferment that Ohtani is giving the Dodgers so they can stay competitive? What does that mean exactly? Yeah, so basically, Ohtani agreed to this 10-year, $700 million contract with the Dodgers, but he's not going to be receiving $70 million per year on an annual basis. However much money is being paid to the player in that year is being taken into account for the team's total salary, right? There's the MLB competitive salary tax that I believe I looked it up. It was 200. So if a team goes above $237 million in 2024, then they would have to pay, I believe it was 20% of the additional money above that. So let's say they go 10 million over the luxury tax. They would pay $2 million in an additional tax because they went over that luxury tax threshold. And so by taking deferred money, I don't know exactly what the details of Otani's contract looks like so far, but by taking deferred money, his annual salary that is being accounted for the luxury tax and those details is going to be lower so that the Dodgers have more room to before they meet that threshold. So they could technically go out and spend more money on other players while also having Shohei Ohtani. But because he's getting paid less on an annual basis, it's going to help the Dodgers be able to be even more competitive throughout the term of his contract. Yeah, Brevin, I don't know if you're watching live, but it's definitely 10 years. I said at the start of the stream that it was 7 years, 700 million, but I just got a little excited. It's definitely 10 years, 700. Do you think the Dodgers will end up making all their money back every year from the TV deals, merch, etc., from just having Ohtani? I mean, I saw a video that potentially Ohtani is worth like $100 million a year to a team. Oh, is my title off? Oh, dang. My bad. Thanks for letting me know about that. My title was 7 years. That's my B. There we go. I just updated that. Will the Dodgers be able to make back $70 million a year for Ohtani? I mean, I would imagine so. The Los Angeles is a top 2 market in America. There's Los Angeles and New York. And so having Ohtani in the biggest market in America, on top of him already owning all of Japan, all of those jersey sales, just the amount of people that will be, just the population of Los Angeles alone, the amount of people that would be going to games, and then they raise their beer prices $5 multiplied by all of those people attending the games over that 10-year period. Yeah, I would say they're going to make more than their money back on Ohtani. And then if this is Ohtani's last contract, then he retires as a Dodger, and then he's he's the Ichiro for the Mariners basically, but for the Dodgers. So Ichiro's basically there all the time for the Mariners. If Ohtani becomes that guy for the Dodgers to where he's always coming back to the games, is always, the centerpiece, then he'll continue to make the money however long, he stays around. Will this even affect their ability to sign new players just from the fact that he will make them so much money? Well, yeah, there's the double-sided thing. It's like they're making so much money off of him so the owners can stay profitable. But then because he's getting his money deferred for a lot of the contract, that also allows them to go and spend more money without having to pay more in the luxury tax. Any chance we can get Ohtani to think about buying the Mariners once he gets all of his contract? That would be a fantastic idea. We'll have to regroup in 10 years once we've had another 2 or 3 rebuilds, see where we're at, see if we can convince him to buy it from the current ownership group. No, yeah, Eric. So you asked if they have to pay out the 700 within 10 years, or is it a vanilla type situation? Yeah. So the deferred money, when you hear the deferment, that's like a vanilla type situation. So they could be paying Ohtani for the next 20, 30 years. And because they're paying him just that amount of money, I want to say that the deferred money still affects payroll down the road. So there's that to factor in, but crazy thing is Otani's contract is as much as the Rockies owner is worth. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, flick of the switch says if the Dodgers managed to win 2 or 3 World Series, they will easily make their money back. Yeah, for sure. Eric says being an Asian Dodger hater today makes you feel conflicted. Yeah. I mean, you could still, like, I personally am not a fan of the Dodgers whatsoever, just because they're one of those annoying teams that are always competing. And also half my fantasy baseball league is on the are Dodgers fans, so I can't really put up with that. But um, I mean, I'll still root for Ohtani. He's seems like an amazing personality to have, and he's the best player in baseball. You just have to respect that. And he's not one of those guys that is good and super cocky about it. And he seems like one of the most humble dudes out there, but he's also the best player. So you could be an Ohtani fan and still hate the Dodgers. That's fine. Yeah, and like in football, so Wanderers of P says convert the cost to an ownership share. There was rumors that, Caleb Williams, the USC quarterback, was going to be asking for ownership stake in whatever team drafts him. But I heard a follow-up that in the NFL, you can't have a current player that has ownership of a team. So that possibility wouldn't be able to be possible. I need to look into the baseball rules to see if a current player can have ownership in a team. I'm not sure if that's a possibility, but in football, it's not. It sounds like. Do I think the M's really only have about 20 million to spend this offseason? I really hope not. That's what the Seattle Times reporters Adam Jude and Ryan Divish have put out there, that they have about 20 million to spend. I was also factoring in them not extending Teo a qualifying offer, which was like $20 million. So, assuming that they would have extended Teo a qualifying offer next year, but since they didn't, if you add that to the additional payroll that they've cut, then that'd be like $40 million for next year. But as of right now, the Mariners' payroll is slotted at $109 million before they add anyone else. So the Mariners' current projected payroll is at $109 million, 110, you can call it. They were at like 130, 140 last year. So realistically, I think they have probably, I want to say 30 to $50 million, but that's probably wrong. That's probably overestimating. But so I want to say they have 30 to $40 million. I don't want to say they have 20 million. I would prefer to say 30 to 40 because then they can go out and bring in Blake Snell, maybe Yamamoto, and then also trade one of those young pitchers for some bats. Maybe sign a free agent bat as well. Make some impact moves because that's what they really need to do. But also comment below if you're canceling your Root Sports Northwest cable subscription. I'm curious how many people are actually canceling their Root Sports. I personally canceled mine, and I'm going the MLB.TV route. And then off the record, you just use a VPN. Yeah, Eric, you can't buy a Ohtani jersey. Yeah, I understand that part. Daryl says, just glad I found your channel. Thank you. Think way too much for Ohtani, and I think they end up putting a cap on the MLB. Dodgers are screwed. Well, thanks for finding the channel. We'll have to see how the contract looks as reports are coming out. There's a lot of deferred money, so that would allow the Dodgers to have more flexibility, and it's not all going to hit them on a yearly basis at 70 million a year. So, but we'll see if the long-term value is there. I mean, the value of the name of Ohtani is there, but as far as if he can get back to being a Corbin Burns on the mound while also being Mookie Betts at the plate, if he can remain a starting pitcher for that entirety of his contract, or if he's going to have to be a relief pitcher at some point, or if he's going to be a DH only for the last 5 years of his contract. We'll see how that affects things. Said Magic Johnson signed a $25 million contract and stake of Lakers ownership 30 years ago. I did not know that. A lifetime contract with the Lakers. You hope the Mariners have a presser for the fans stating a positive plan for going forward. Well, like realistically, the next presser that they'll have will be when they sign Blake Snell, because I'm optimistic. So during that Blake Snell press conference, we'll see what other comments he has to say about. He's going to talk about their successful offseason so far and freeing up money so that they can go get this arm or that arm or make a trade. Michael said that he already canceled his Root Sports membership. Woody says you used to love the way Root Sports was. I thought they did it because Ohtani was coming to the M's and would boost all media in the Northwest. That would make sense. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in. I'll make sure to go follow me across social media on Twitter, on Instagram at the Couch GM. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. As soon as I see more information about about Ohtani's contract, I'll make a video talking specifically about the contract and show the details of it. But yeah, make sure to go follow on social medias. Thank you for tuning in and watching. And if you haven't seen it already, I posted a video this morning or last night about the Mariners and their window of contention Really, they have 2 to 3 years to contend for a World Series with this core of players that they have. Go check out that video, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.